We are talking about the caucuses last night, and our guest is Debbie Georgatos, a radio talk show host and a frequent contributor on Fox News Radio. And let's go to the Democratic side for a moment, Debbie. It was quite late last night before we got an inkling how the Democratic side of the caucus was going to go, and that the reason I wanted to stay up so late was I really didn't have a full understanding of how they do it, because it is somewhat different than the way the Republicans do it. But I saw one piece of video last night that it made me scratch my head. And if this story is true, the vote was taken over and over and over again in several precincts with no deviation. Nobody budged. Nobody changed their caucus target, and finally, after a number of draws, they flipped a coin, I am told, in 6 precincts. One woman left disgusted, saying, could there possibly be a crazier way to elect a president?
I saw that story, too. I don't think I saw the video you're talking about, but I saw that story, too. And it's extremely, it's odd how in our very modern world with electronic voting machines and all our ability to do so many things electronically, that Iowa has maintained this caucus approach. And as you say, the Democrats do it differently. I would think it's a very, very frustrating process. And the coin flip thing, Hillary Clinton's team in these, I think it was 6 precincts where this occurred. They were tied. She won all the coin tosses, which is not statistically likely. And so I think there's just at least people with a sense of bitterness and frustration that they really didn't, their participating didn't count. It also shows you in this little world in Iowa, it's a small state, how much every door knock and phone call and follow-up mattered, because in those precincts had 3 more neighbors come along on either side of the Sanders or Clinton supporters and could have changed it. So yeah, it's a very odd and really, in some ways, it sounds antiquated process. It's frustrating for people who really care. But, I will say for last night in the Democratic side, this was a horrible night for Hillary Clinton. She put a smile on her face. I hope we can talk about how she looked in her closing speech, but this was a night that should have been a big victory for her, and it was cringeworthy tie, pretty much.
Did you watch her comments? Because I finally gave up and had to go to bed, and I missed it. Did she say or do anything interesting?
Yes, and I swear I'm a nice person before I'm about to say what I'm about to say. She didn't look, what's a good word? Crazy sounds like too crass of a word, but she looked wild-eyed and angry. Yes, I watched the whole speech. Now, my husband had the same reaction. He said, I can't watch her, and he walked out of the room, but she just looked angry, and but she was trying to do the positive. When I'm elected president, we're going to, free college for everybody and free everything for everybody, and take. It was a very. It had some policy points, but it looked kind of. She just didn't look, honestly, kind of mentally well. And I know that sounds harsh to say. She just was wild-eyed, and I think truly, in her case, this was an upsetting outcome. She was angry about the outcome. She expected to have at least a very clear victory over Bernie Sanders, if not a very. Isn't that breathtaking? I saw that too. Yeah, you just can't have a recount. This is how it is. It really is it's a very unsatisfying thing. I think that at the end of the day, Hillary got 3 more delegates than Bernie Sanders, something like that. I mean, it's a net for both teams, and for Senator Sanders, it's a victory to have a showing in a state like that where, although there was polling out there just 2 weeks ago or so talking about the percentage of Iowans on the Democrat side who self-identify as socialist, and it was over 40%. So maybe Iowa's, at least the Democrat side in Iowa, is pretty far left, but this is a big night for Bernie Sanders. He's the surprise of the left, as Rubio was on the right.
Yeah, we're going to try an experiment here, and I want to apologize to our callers. We have a brand new studio, brand new. We're still figuring out how everything works, and we have been trying for the last 15 minutes to get our callers actually on the air. So let's take them in the order of the calls. Let's begin with Rick in Wyoming, and this time I hope Rick is with us. Rick, you there?
I'm right here.
Oh, very good. We did it, Gina. Congratulations. What do you got for us, bud?
Just a quick question. I've been thinking about this, that, years ago, senior George Bush had come out with this campaign for his second term and said, read my lips, no new taxes. And I believe that partly played toward his defeat. And now we have a self-proclaimed socialist who's claiming to raise taxes to 90%, and he's getting the turnout that he is. How has our country gotten to that point where we're willing to pay 90% in taxes, and then when George Bush said no new taxes, and he was defeated?
Very good. Thanks, Debbie. We have 1 minute. Response?
The taxpayers are not supporting Bernie Sanders. The recipients of Sanders' intended socialist redistribution are supporting Sanders. That's the whole answer, I think.
It exactly is the whole answer. You're bound to get some people in your camp if you go to every town and say, there's a lot of people making a lot more money than you, and that's not fair, and everybody ought to have free college. I mean, who doesn't want to eliminate $250,000 worth of student loans all of a sudden? The problem is you put pencil to paper, and what Bernie proposes would cost $19 trillion, and that's where our debt is right now. You want to double that? Say bye-bye, America. Just my thought.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And it's just really, Sanders' popularity with college students is an outcome of the poor education system in America that hasn't taught young people that socialism doesn't work. You actually do run out of other people's money.
Yeah,
they just don't know what's true.
Look at history. There are examples all over the world. Debbie, what a joy having you. Thank you so very much for making time for us.
Neil, thanks for having me on. It was great talking with you.
Same here. Debbie Georgatos with us. And by the way, she's written a wonderful book. Make sure you check it out. Look at her website, Ladies Can We Talk. She does radio shows and writes with great flair and insight. Debbie Georgatos with us here on West Michigan Live.